It's hard to believe it's been 52 years since American Graffiti roared onto the screen in 1973, capturing a nostalgic slice of 1960s youth, fast cars, and rock and roll. Directed by George Lucas, this classic launched the careers of several young stars and became a cultural touchstone for generations. But what happened to the cast after the lights dimmed and the music faded? In this video, we explore where the actors are now in 2025. Some became Hollywood legends, others stepped away from fame, and a few met tragic ends. Join us as we take a heartfelt journey through their stories, triumphs, losses, and legacies that continue to echo decades later. Cindy Williams was born on August 22, 1947, and played Laurie Henderson in American Graffiti in 1973 at the age of 26. Laurie was the sweet, level-headed girlfriend torn between adolescent love and looming adulthood, a grounding force among chaos. But off-screen, Cindy's life was a roller coaster hidden behind a smile. While she later gained stardom in Laverne and Shirley, her abrupt exit from the show during its peak while pregnant was masked as a creative dispute, though insiders say bitter arguments with co-star Penny Marshall and backstage producers over unequal pay and screen time drove her out. Rumors swirled of Cindy's resentment toward how she was portrayed, even claiming she felt pushed out of her own success. Her marriage to musician Bill Hudson was stormy. After divorcing, she became estranged from parts of his family, including stepdaughter Kate Hudson. In later years, her career declined sharply, and she quietly struggled with finances, even touring small regional theaters just to stay afloat. She died on January 25, 2023, at the age of 75 following a short illness. Manuel Padilla Jr. was born on May 13, 1955, and played Carlos in American Graffiti in 1973 at age 18. Carlos was quick-talking, loyal, and full of reckless energy, but Padilla's child stardom was anything but glamorous. Famous in the 60s for Tarzan, he fell into the dark pattern of young actors chewed up and spit out by Hollywood. By his 20s, roles had dried up, and he slipped into obscurity. Multiple failed attempts at comebacks were hindered by a reputation for flaking on auditions and rumors of substance abuse, mostly methamphetamine and pills. Friends say he drifted into depression, and he was arrested twice for petty theft in the late 90s. He became estranged from his family and lived in near anonymity, relying on odd jobs and convention appearances to survive. Though the official cause of death remains unclear, many believe his body simply gave out after years of quiet suffering. He died on January 29, 2008, at the age of 52. Wolfman Jack, born January 21, 1938, played himself in American Graffiti in 1973 at age 35. As the mysterious DJ who seemed to haunt the night airwaves, he embodied the rebellious, ethereal spirit of the 60s youth. But behind the voice was Robert Weston Smith, a man as chaotic as his on-air persona. Off-air, he was infamous for his ego and unpredictable temper. He burned bridges in the radio industry, with one station owner recalling how he stormed out mid-show after being told to tone down the sex talk. His wild lifestyle included late-night benders, multiple affairs during his long marriage, and a rumored cocaine addiction in the late 70s. Though adored by fans, he was known among peers as difficult, manipulative, and driven by fame at all costs. His brand became more about image than integrity, and by the 90s, his influence waned sharply. He died of a heart attack on July 1, 1995, at age 57, collapsing at home shortly after a promotional appearance. Bo Hopkins was born on February 2, 1938, and portrayed Joe Young in American Graffiti in 1973 when he was 35. Joe, the cocky gang leader of the Pharaohs, brought menace and mischief to the streets of Modesto. But Hopkins' real life had more turbulence than any role he played. Orphaned young and adopted into a strict Southern household, he ran away, joined gangs, and was arrested before turning 15. He later joined the army but was dishonorably discharged after a violent altercation, details he later tried to downplay. Although he carved out a niche in Hollywood as the tough guy, his career hit a wall in the late 80s due to on-set outbursts and rumored clashes with directors over script control. Multiple marriages and a rocky relationship with his children added to the chaos. Despite a brief resurgence in the 2000s, health issues and addiction whispers, especially alcohol, followed him to the end. He died on May 28, 2022, at age 84 following a heart attack. Lin Marie Stewart, born December 14, 1946, played Bobby in American Graffiti in 1973 at the age of 27. Bobby was flirtatious, unpredictable, and her spontaneous energy added a dreamlike detour to Kurt's night. While Lin later became widely recognized as Miss Yvonne on Pee-wee's Playhouse, her career faced quiet roadblocks. Early in her career, she was reportedly blacklisted from multiple casting agencies for being too weird for primetime after a volatile outburst during a table read. Friends recall her turbulent relationship with an older Hollywood producer that ended with police involvement in a sealed court file. Her first marriage ended in a bitter divorce after her spouse accused her of emotionally abandoning him for the spotlight. Though she later found solace in charity work, especially Make-A-Wish, insiders knew she struggled with self-worth and long bouts of depression. In her final years, she battled cancer and financial stress, quietly selling memorabilia to cover medical bills. Lin Marie Stewart died on February 21, 2025, at the age of 78 from complications related to liver and gallbladder cancer. Del Close, born March 9, 1934, took on the brief role of the man at bar in American Graffiti at age 39. The character, strange and slightly menacing, mirrored Del's real-world chaos. Known in comedy circles as a mad genius, Close lived a life soaked in drugs, rebellion, and psychological trauma. He was fired from the committee for erratic behavior, and once confessed to smoking human ashes on stage as a joke. Del cycled through unstable relationships, including a volatile romance with a fellow performer who accused him of emotional cruelty and drug-fueled manipulation. He openly experimented with LSD and was institutionalized briefly in the 60s. Yet his brilliance was undeniable. He mentored generations of comedians who feared and worshipped him. Diagnosed with emphysema but refusing to quit smoking, Close spiraled into debt and depression. He demanded his skull be donated to the Goodman Theater for Hamlet rehearsals, though this claim remains disputed. He died on March 4, 1999, just days before his 65th birthday. Deborah Lee Scott, born April 2, 1953, played Falfa's girl in American Graffiti in 1973 at age 20. Her character was playful, flirty, and carefree, a perfect contrast to the testosterone-fueled drag race scene. Off-screen, Deborah Lee's life was a cocktail of dark turns and quiet pain. While she rose to fame with quirky TV roles, her image as a bubbly starlet masked deeper struggles. Her engagement to Port Authority officer Andrew Rubin ended in tragedy when he was killed during 9/11, sending her into a downward spiral. Friends recalled her turning to alcohol to cope, and she was hospitalized multiple times for health complications allegedly related to heavy drinking. Although she was never involved in public scandals, her biting wit and unfiltered interviews made her a polarizing presence. Many producers branded her as too much trouble by the mid-80s. Her final years were marked by reclusion and illness, and she died on April 5, 2005, at age 52, just days after celebrating her birthday, from natural causes amid rumors her body had simply given up after so much grief. Paul Lambert, born August 1, 1922, appeared in American Graffiti as the sleeping police officer in 1973 at age 51. Though his role was brief, it added comedic punctuation to the restless teenage energy of the film. Lambert's career was a case study in near success, always reliable, never headline-worthy. But beneath his serious screen presence, Lambert was known among peers as a man plagued by paranoia and resentment. In private, he confided in friends that he believed directors intentionally gave him thankless roles, and he frequently accused younger actors of stealing his style. A failed marriage to a stage actress ended with restraining orders, and his estranged son later accused him of emotional abuse. Despite working steadily in TV and film, Lambert lived modestly and died alone in a small Los Angeles apartment. He passed away on April 27, 1997, at the age of 74 from cancer, his death making barely a ripple in the industry he had long grown disillusioned with. Suzanne Summers, born October 16, 1946, portrayed the enigmatic blonde in The T-Bird in American Graffiti at age 27. Her role was fleeting but iconic. She embodied the unattainable fantasy a dream that haunted Drifus's character. In real life, Suzanne quickly became a household name, but fame came with a steep price. Fired from Three's Company for demanding equal pay, she was labeled difficult and blacklisted for years. Her later reinvention as a health guru drew intense criticism. Doctors condemned her promotion of unproven hormonal therapies and organic cures, calling them dangerous. Beneath the California girl smile was a woman fighting to be taken seriously in an industry that preferred her silent and sexy. Her marriage to Alan Hamill appeared stable, but insiders claimed it was more business than love, with Suzanne micromanaging every aspect of their brand. Summers died on October 15, 2023, one day before turning 77, after a long battle with breast cancer, leaving behind a complicated legacy of defiance, reinvention, and controversy. Richard Drifus, born October 29, 1947, starred as Kurt Henderson in American Graffiti in 1973 at age 26. Kurt's quiet search for meaning mirrored Drifus's own restlessness. While he won an Oscar and cemented his place in film history, Drifus's real life was punctuated by battles with addiction, rage, and controversy. Diagnosed with bipolar disorder, he often alienated co-stars with erratic behavior. Rumors of drug-fueled meltdowns and aggressive tirades swirled around sets from Jaws to The Goodbye Girl. He later admitted to cocaine addiction during his peak and was once arrested for crashing his car under the influence. His outspoken political rants and offbeat social commentary have drawn criticism, especially in recent years as his views grew more provocative. Though married 3 times, his relationships were marked by volatility and estrangement. Now 77 in 2025, Drifus lives quietly in California, dividing his time between advocacy work and public speaking, while still wrestling with the weight of his own contradictions. Paul Lamat, born September 22, 1945, played John Milner in 1973 at age 28. As the greaser with a fast car and a loner's soul, Milner was a relic of 1950s masculinity, defiant in the face of a changing world. Off-screen, Lamat's career flared briefly before sputtering. Though he won a Golden Globe, he was often labeled difficult by directors due to frequent clashes on set and a rumored disdain for Hollywood phoniness. He was quietly dropped from several projects in the 80s after disagreements with producers. One even accused him of sabotage during reshoots. Lamat's private life was no less turbulent. A short-lived marriage ended amid allegations of emotional abuse and controlling behavior, and former friends hinted at paranoia and reclusiveness. After his peak, he drifted into obscurity, refusing interviews and avoiding industry events. Some speculate he struggled with undiagnosed mental health issues. As of 2025, Paul Lamat is 79 and lives a reclusive life, largely removed from public view. Ron Howard, born March 1, 1954, played Steve Bolander in American Graffiti in 1973 at age 19. Steve was assertive yet uncertain, a role Howard executed with early maturity. As a director, he would later shape some of the most critically acclaimed films of the late 20th century. But even the cleanest image cast a shadow. Though rarely caught in open scandal, Howard was described by insiders as obsessively controlling, especially in the editing room. So much so that several editors and actors have anonymously spoken of toxic perfectionism and backdoor blacklisting. His squeaky clean public persona was carefully curated, reportedly enforced by NDAs and tightly managed press access. Rumors of a long-standing rift with Tom Hanks over creative control have circulated in industry circles, though neither confirmed it publicly. Despite a seemingly ideal family life, whispers of work-life imbalance and emotional distance from his children haunt his personal narrative. In 2025, at age 71, Howard remains active, but always with that meticulously polished Hollywood mask. Charles Martin Smith, born October 30, 1953, portrayed Terry the Toad Fields in 1973 at age 20. The bumbling, lovable loser of the film, Terry was every teen who never got the girl but kept trying. Unlike his character, Smith was sharply intelligent and strategically minded, transitioning into directing. But behind his clean image lies a history of bitter industry feuds. Known for clashing with studio execs, he was blacklisted from several major projects in the late 80s after walking off a set mid-production, reportedly over a script dispute that turned into a screaming match. His long-term relationship with a fellow director ended in public acrimony, and a lawsuit over unpaid royalties dogged him for years. While not publicly scandalized, Smith gained a reputation for being fiercely protective of his work, sometimes to the point of alienation. In 2025, at 71, he remains active in indie cinema, respected but forever at arm's length from Hollywood elites. Mackenzie Phillips, born November 10, 1959, played Carol in 1973 at just 14. Carol was spunky and too worldly for her age, eerily prophetic of Phillips' own life. After the film, her fame soared, but so did her descent into addiction and trauma. She was arrested multiple times for drug possession, fired from one day at a time, and hospitalized repeatedly. Her 2009 memoir shocked the world. She revealed years of incestuous abuse by her father, John Phillips of the Mamas and the Papas, sparking national debate. Critics questioned her credibility, but Phillips stood firm, enduring backlash and estrangement from family. Her marriages were brief and stormy, and she battled relapses into her 40s. Yet she became a fierce advocate for recovery, working in rehab centers and speaking publicly about survival. As of 2025, Mackenzie Phillips is 65, sober, and still dividing the public. Some see her as a tragic truth-teller, others as an unreliable narrator of Hollywood's darkest corners. Candy Clark, born June 20, 1947, played Debbie in 1973 at age 26. Debbie was bold, flirty, and unpredictable, traits Candy brought from real life. Behind the camera, her offbeat beauty and nonconformist spirit clashed with the glossy studio system. She was once fired from a film after a meltdown during a parachute, and in the 80s was briefly involved with a cult-like spiritual group, which led to alienation from peers. A messy affair with a high-profile actor ended in tabloid hell when she accused him of manipulation and gaslighting, only to later recant during a lawsuit settlement. Her eclectic career, ranging from David Bowie's Alien Lover to indie horror roles, mirrored her chaotic private life. Friends recall her dabbling in esoterica, claiming visions and talking to energy fields on set. Candy Clark is 78 in 2025, semi-retired, and living quietly in Texas, though occasionally resurfaces at conventions with a sparkle in her eye and secrets unspoken. Harrison Ford, born July 13, 1942, played Bob Falfa in 1973 at age 31. As the smug, leather-jacketed rival, Falfa was a warm-up for the cocky heroes Ford would perfect. But Ford's rise was anything but clean. In the 80s, rumors of his coldness and emotional detachment plagued him. Co-stars described him as distant, and his first marriage collapsed under the strain of his rising fame and rumored infidelity. Later, Ford's aviation hobby turned into a PR nightmare. Crashes, emergency landings, and a nearly fatal runway incident in 2015 made headlines. His gruff, anti-Hollywood attitude led to offhand political comments that alienated parts of his fanbase. Though never embroiled in major scandal, insiders noted a don't-cross-him reputation, citing his icy feuds with directors and refusal to participate in promotional tours. At 82 in 2025, Ford remains a cinematic icon, but his legacy is shadowed by whispers of arrogance, danger, and the cost of mythic masculinity. Kathleen Quinland, born November 19, 1954, played Peg in American Graffiti in 1973 at age 19. Her character captured the innocence and excitement of small-town youth, yet Quinlan's personal life unfolded with more turbulence than nostalgia. Though her talent eventually earned her an Oscar nomination, early in her career she was locked in exploitative contracts and faced unwanted advances from producers, experiences she hinted at in a 1997 interview but never named names. Her high-profile marriage to Bruce Abbott imploded amid rumors of infidelity and emotional distance, and insiders claimed she once fled a film set in tears after a screaming match with the director. Her relationship with Hollywood has been strained. She was blackballed from major studio films for a time after rejecting a high-profile role tied to an executive she accused of harassment. In 2025, she is 70, quietly retired from acting, focusing on painting and seldom engaging with the industry that both exalted and betrayed her. Terrence McGovern, born May 11, 1942, played Mr. Wolf in American Graffiti in 1973 at age 31. His character, though minor, grounded the teenage chaos with a touch of adult supervision. Yet off-screen, McGovern's journey veered far from the clean-cut authority he portrayed. While revered today for his voice acting in Darkwing Duck and Star Wars radio dramas, few know about his tumultuous exit from television after clashing with producers over creative control, most notably being quietly replaced on a project after an alleged on-set outburst. Behind his jovial persona lay years of suppressed alcoholism, which he later acknowledged derailed much of his early potential. A divorce in the late 80s left him estranged from his only daughter, who accused him in a now-deleted blog of emotional neglect. Though he rebuilt his life as a respected voice coach, his past haunts interviews he never gives. As of 2025, he is 83 years old, reclusive, living modestly in the Bay Area, rarely appearing in public. Richardson, born March 11, 1952, played Judy in American Graffiti in 1973 at age 21. The breezy charm of Judy masked the storm that would soon consume Richardson's real life. Though she found fame on 8 is Enough, her descent was steep. By the mid-1980s, she battled drug addiction and was hospitalized multiple times for bipolar disorder. Her weight gain became tabloid fodder, sparking cruel headlines that destroyed her self-esteem. Abandoned by Hollywood and betrayed by agents who mismanaged her finances, Richardson claimed she was once so broke she ate dog food to survive. Her daughter, whom she raised alone after a messy breakup, reportedly moved across the country and severed ties. Richardson later appeared on talk shows begging for work, which many saw as exploitative. She now lives in a trailer in Pennsylvania, surviving on disability, and in 2025 is 73, forgotten by the industry that once plastered her face on every TV screen in America. Joe Spano, born July 7, 1946, played Vic in American Graffiti in 1973 at age 27. While Vic was a fleeting presence, Spano's journey in Hollywood would be anything but. Known later for Hill Street Blues and NCIS, few realize he was nearly fired from Hill Street after a heated feud with a producer over contract disputes, which he later described as a lesson in Hollywood humiliation. Long admired for his craft, Spano also harbored resentment toward the television world, claiming in a 2012 radio segment that he was paid to disappear when scripts didn't need his character. Off-screen, his marriage weathered rumors of a brief affair with a co-star in the early 1980s, and he battled an undiagnosed anxiety disorder that nearly cost him a role in a Broadway revival. Known for being overly intense on set, some actors refused to work with him twice. In 2025, he is 78, semi-retired, performing in small theater productions and avoiding Hollywood altogether. Kay Lenz, born March 4, 1953, played Jane in American Graffiti in 1973 at age 20. Jane had flair and magnetism, a reflection of Lenz's own rising star. But while the public saw beauty and poise, her private life unraveled quickly. Her brief marriage to teen idol David Cassidy was marked by wild partying and emotional abuse, with Lenz later admitting Cassidy's addictions made the relationship unbearable. Following their split, she struggled to secure consistent work and was typecast in roles that exploited her looks more than her talent. She admitted in a rare 2001 interview to undergoing treatment for depression and exhaustion after a breakdown in the early 90s. Rumors swirled about a nervous collapse on the set of a short-lived soap, allegedly triggered by a predatory director. Despite 2 Emmys, she lived for years under the radar, teaching acting classes and avoiding press. In 2025, she is 72, living quietly in Los Angeles, far from the spotlight she once feared and desired. Who is your favorite character from American Graffiti? How do you feel knowing that some of the actors have passed away? Don't hesitate to leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this content, please remember to like, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you won't miss future videos. Thank you so much.